Hey. Hey. Not funny. We have a guest. Our guest is my friend Liz Linder, this fantastic photographer. She's been shooting people here in Boston for ages and ages.
With a camera.
With a camera.
Or a smartphone.
Her original tagline was "Get Shot" by Liz Linder.
We can't use that anymore. It's
not okay?
That's expired.
Okay.
That expired about 20 years ago.
But I always found that really amusing.
It was cute when it started.
Yeah, and yet I can see why you would do.
Yeah, we had a T-shirt made at one point that had, a handgun, a hypodermic needle, and a camera, and X's through the former. And anyway, we can't wear that T-shirt anymore. It's no longer funny. Maybe it'll come back around. It's not funny, actually.
That's true.
Good one, Jim.
I liked the Get Shot. I get it. That's fine. But now, so what is your new tagline? You were experimenting with a few others.
Oh, we're playing around with a few things, but we kind of landed for the time being on the awe and authenticity.
The awe. She puts the awe in authenticity.
Just saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's a little better than Get Shot.
No response from Lionel here.
We're playing around.
It's probably not the response you want, but
bring it. This is a work in progress.
Yeah. Get another phrase.
All right. We'll revisit that one.
Okay.
We got
if you guys are gonna press me on this, I'm gonna give you an answer.
Well, that word authenticity isn't great these days, or any day really, because if you have to say it. Well, it always feels like a sales pitch, right? Like, look at this authentic piece of whatever.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, maybe you put Jen in genuine.
Oh, no. Hey. Yeah,
you put the U in genuine.
I think we need to stop playing with words and start playing with pictures.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
You had brought some things for us to look at that nobody else can see. But.
Exactly. Well, I was thinking that I might then post them on, my Instagram or put them on a blog or something. So I like this idea of teasing people with visuals and then having a place they can show up and look at them.
Well, you were saying
if they want, right?
You wanted to describe your visuals, and
I didn't even know we were going to jump in so fast. I thought this was a backup plan, like in case there were long awkward silences.
We don't have to do that.
Yeah,
I also want to talk about your Instagram your dog.
Oh, my dog! I know. This could be about the dog, but I will give you this, and you can hold it and see what you think.
Oh, this is cool. All right, I don't know if Lionel can see this.
Yes, I can see that. You are not connected to the internet. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a book.
It's a book. It's a really huge book. Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's basically my Instagram project turned into something tangible.
Oh, that's perfect.
Before I stopped posting on Instagram.
You're going to stop posting on Instagram?
No, I stopped posting. I was posting for about 3+ years thinking I want to make a book out of this. And finally I did.
They're very cool. I've always liked your whole Instagram thing.
That was my retaliation on Instagram. I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong word.
Just because of the poor management. Oh, that's so cool. I like that. You got a robot head, and it's just your camera on your phone.
Yeah, you have to describe what you're looking at.
Yeah,
I'd like you to describe what you're looking at.
I will tell you what it is. So there's a series of photographs, and it's configured such that Liz's chin and mouth are visible below the two lenses of the camera on the phone that look like kind of robot eyes that sit in an odd place in relation to the mouth, and make her look like a robot.
The whole idea of the Instagram channel, what I started doing, so during the pandemic, when we didn't have much work and people were starting to live online, I was dared to get on social media, show yourself on social media. People want to see who you are. And I tried to do it. I think I tried once and I just felt like yucky inside. Like I did not like the feeling of putting myself out there on social media. So I turned it into a game where I could sort of hide in plain sight and play with this idea of, being caught in between a screen that someone's looking at, that I'm looking at, that I'm trapped in every day. I'm caught between my phone and my computer, in part living in the screens. There's always a reflection. I started playing with this idea of shadows and reflections and trying to capture this elusive creature that's sort of like almost, it's not really a persona at all. It's like the ghost in the machine of the daily experience. I would try to capture pictures on Zoom, take screen snapshots, turn the camera into something else a little bit.
The camera becomes a character. Move further away, farther away, farther away.
And the screens are always telling you things to do. You're always given instructions.
Yes.
So instead of getting irritated at technology when I'm having technology breakdowns, or I have to get on another Zoom, I think, okay, maybe this is an opportunity. I've just gamified it, basically. I'm taking opportunities to capture it in motion and sort of look at the lenses looking at me, and use the screen as the lens through which, I can look at the world, which, I mean, we're all looking at the world through the screen as a lens, and
Right.
everything's mitigated through the screen. So
there are these two photographs I'm looking at where your head is in a circle and your body is sort of in one place is in the correct position to your head, and then in another place is that a mirror?
yeah, it's one of those convex mirrors in a
'Cause
hotel.
you're not
It's
doing
in a
this with
hotel
Photoshop.
bathroom. No, none of this is with Photoshop.
Everything is as it appears, but it's
Everything is as it appears in the smartphone, and then I usually take a number of screen snapshots and adjust the contrast, maybe
Right.
adjust only directions that I can use in the app. I don't use Photoshop. I just use the camera app and screen snapshots, and that's the game. It's a fun game.
yeah. These are really great. These airplane window shots with your hand, and then the contrast in color, kind of that artificial blue looking thing, and then you're kind of reaching out to touch the tip of the wing.
That's sort of like a parody of the Sistine Chapel
That's
ceiling.
exactly what I was thinking.
Right?
Yeah,
Love
God
it.
reaching out to Adam.
I am God
Beautiful.
in my smartphone.
I love these. I love it when you play with like water and oil in the city. So this is like a giant round puddle with things growing out of it, and then there's Liz, and you can just see her toes, but you see the shadow of Liz against the sky and the reflection of the water. It reminds me of there's another photographer, Mary Lang, who does a lot of
I gotta look at her
reflection
stuff.
work.
Yeah, the idea is not to show my face, not just to try to be sort of an anonymous person, really.
Love these.
That's great.
Gorgeous shadows.
That's fabulous.
So cool.
Is this interesting enough, do you think, for people who are listening?
I can put out a video too.
Okay.
I can edit a video edit. And you know what? If it's not interesting enough for people, then it's their problem, I think.
Yeah, let's make it
Not
their
our
problem.
problem.
Right.
It's that they're not interesting. That's the thing.
They can't use their imaginations
These are
to
super
visualize
cool.
things.
It's like this tar sidewalk where the cracks have all been tarred over, so it looks like this abstract ink drawing, and then Liz is kind of organically situated like it's some kind of vine configuration.
Yeah.
But it's urban. It's urban and natural. I love it.
It's like a little bit of a nod and a wink to Aaron Siskind, who used to photograph the tar on the streets. He was that black and white photographer. Yeah, so there's a lot of hidden, references to photographers that I grew up on and loved in here.
That's shop talk.
Yes, exactly. Well, this is the shop talk.
All right.
It,
Well,
yeah.
we're doing shop talk.
Yeah.
Now this is where Enzo makes the first
Yes,
appearance.
the dog.
Yes. Beautiful. I love that. So you sort of, you have Enzo, the shadow of you and Enzo on one of those hexagonal tiled surfaces. And you're relating to each other. Enzo is like leaning up toward you and you're leaning down towards Enzo.
Yeah, I had to direct that one.
What kind like, no, bad dog.
Yeah.
What sort of dog is Enzo?
Enzo is a golden doodle that's got a little extra retriever in him. And he found me a little bit during the pandemic. I, was posting pictures of my sister's dog on Instagram. In that daily post, I had to show something, right?
Yeah.
And somebody made a connection between me and the person who got her dog to her and thought, maybe I would like the dog that didn't have an owner in the middle of the pandemic. So I had to sleep on it a few nights in a row and decide, could I have a dog in my life? And finally I said yes. And boy, can I just say, this is a plug for getting a dog. Enzo is the best. I've trained him to be a therapy dog. We go to libraries and senior centers, and he brings joy to people on the street. He's very sensitive. I almost brought him here. Anyway.
Well, he would have been welcome, I think.
He would have. I could have. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
So our camera is backwards. This is bothering me, but I don't know that I can do anything about it. Really.
It's okay. We can share things, because Lionel needs to see.
I am not.
Let me ask this question: Do I?
Yes.
First off, so this is an edit point. One, yeah, I think if it's audio only, it's going to be excruciating.
Yeah, like maybe this was a good tease. And
I just want to say so then let's pivot to right. I would love to look through this, and the way that the listener can look through it is to somehow obtain this or look at your Instagram.
And you would never obtain it because it costs.
Just prohibitive to print.
I think it's you could get it off of Blurb, but I wanted to make something very physical. So it's heavy, it's big.
It really is.
It's got chunky pages. It's kind of like 3 bricks, Yeah,
the pages are
about 2 or 3 bricks, and it's a few $100s if you bought it.
It's
just
quite
for the
coffee
cost
table
of it.
book.
Yeah, it's the coffee table book. I'm going to figure out a way to get it in the world. But
what I was wondering is, can we make this into a video?
Yes, we can. I will.
Or is that too much work?
I will just make I will make the video presentation of the.
I can make a video of this for you. And
okay, that would be great. But I will also, to our listener, I will also be releasing this on YouTube as a full-length video. Even though everything will be backwards, it'll give you a little bit of an idea of kind of what it looks like.
Well, you can hide my picture. Okay. Well,
I'm sort of awkwardly, it's not the most visual.
Or I won't.
Or we could put.
There's no pleasing some people.
I know, really, we're very difficult here.
I love these. So cool. I wish they weren't backwards. Well,
so I think we're not. Yeah.
This is so cool. Oh,
yeah. It's a good prop, and it's a good teaser.
Is this Philly?
No, that's Brookline.
What bell is in Brookline?
It's a bell near Town Hall. I don't think it's a bell of significance.
Insignificant bell.
It's not insignificant, but I can't tell you much more about it than there's a bell by Town Hall.
This one is
it's an old ironworks bell.
I mean, it's really neat.
Yeah, it's basically a lot of shadows and reflections, and sort of when you look at these, you lose your orientation to like where the person is, what's real, what's not real, what the planes of experience and existence are, and they're kind of fun.
Well, I love the water reflections. I don't know how this is happening.
That is through a series of doorways, and there's a reflection and a shadow on the glass, and it's a hallway that leads through to another doorway that leads outside, so you're seeing 2 outsides and an inside.
And it looks like a multiple exposure, but it's not.
It's not.
That's crazy.
And then I printed it and took a picture of it, and
that's something I love is that Liz does these like pictures of pictures.
It's very meta. Yeah. But it's not on Meta. Well, maybe a little bit.
Well, right, Instagram isn't it?
It's technically on Meta. It's technically on Meta, some of this.
Meta's not Meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are wonderful. I totally dig them. Yeah.
I felt like I should bring something visual. So I think it's great. That's my favorite one.
Oh, this one? All right. So Liz's favorite one is a picture of 12
depleted batteries.
Depleted batteries. Depleted battery icons.
Yes. Thank you.
There's like a sliver.
We speak in icons.
Red.
Yeah. We speak in icons.
Sliver of red. Visible. This really, it's like a sign of impending doom. Oh, I love this one. Yes. Sorry, we're having a little trouble.
It's just my computer talking to me again. Okay.
Exposure. Oops, sorry. Exposure. That could have been the cover of Robert Fripp's album.
It's like Man Ray. Is that another?
Yeah, they've got a Man Ray influence for sure. I should have worn my Man Ray shirt. I have the Glass Tears t-shirt.
So your shadow or reflection is positioned so that this gauge, what is it? What is the gauge?
It's on a barbecue.
A barbecue gauge. It's the lid of a barbecue.
Yeah.
Replaces your head. And yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So the rule is just, I can use myself because of privacy privacy restrictions. I've signed off on that, and I'm not showing myself enough for the algorithms to catch me. I'm taking screen snapshots. I'm taking screen snapshots so that the information that is inherent in the original picture isn't there to like throw off the robots. You see, it's like, it's a game.
It's a meta.
It's a fun game. And then after a while, I just decided, since I can make something physical and I've got something tangible, I don't really care if I post anymore. So I haven't posted recently, but I'll start a new post with a video of this book.
Okay. Yeah, right. Then you're like,
and then we'll be all caught up. Yeah. Then people can see. Yeah.
It's this amorphous kind of.
It's just all the. Yeah.
Just a moment. We're verifying your information. And then the ...
It's all the ways
you are a human, right? Like the captures.
Yeah, but also confirming the thing for me, the reason I started getting into this and the slippery slope of it, dealing with like identity and non-identity and photography is that the phone, which I use as a camera, is also just tracking everything. So this idea of like who's capturing who and what's capturing you is really just kind of goes through this whole volume. It's actually been really fun because these are the things that completely bother me about technology, surveillance capitalism, and playing with the camera and turning it a little bit inside out has been really fun.
Now, if only we had a topic to talk about.
Oh God! Yeah.
Like an interesting topic to talk about, like surveillance capitalism. Oh yes, we have 5 topics to talk about right there. So first of all, let me just say, any chance I get to have my photo taken by Liz, I leap at it. I believe we have only had banned photos by Liz. Maybe there was one other there's one other photo actually that was taken by somebody else, but I don't think I used it that much. The photos of my band have been really awesome. And my favorite photo to use from one of our sessions is one where you're taking a photo with the iPad. Oh, it's like a 3.
Oh, it's great.
It's a 3 meta photo where like part of my face is seen in a phone camera, and then my actual face is behind the phone camera, which is sort of set up, and there's a ring light, and then you're shooting that whole thing. So there's like 3 layers of things.
It's
happening.
A good one, and I loved seeing it in use. Because when I took it, I was thinking, oh, this is one of my fun little throwaway, like I'll put this on Instagram. How fun is it? How fun is this? And then I saw it on a website, and my first thought was like, that's a really cool picture. I wonder where I took that.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah,
it's super cool. So I never thought about that. So at some point you got the iPhone and you started shooting with it, and it was like I have always seen you with these giant cameras, a Nikon or I don't know what you use.
I've always tried to get the biggest camera because on my jobs, a lot of the time they're people whose hobby is photography and they have enough money that they can buy the very best gear. So I just have to make sure I have it so we can talk about it. And
so
anyway,
Leicas and things. So there's a whole cult of Leica.
Yeah, the cult of Leica, but for commercial work, for the kind of commercial work I do, I'm pretty deep in Nikon right now, and maybe I'll get to the cult of Leica later. Mm-hmm. But we talk about the lenses and which model camera do you have, and I've always thought like the bigger the better, but only because I'm petite and it just wears me down.
So now hauling the thing around with you.
So now I'm kind of really excited about photographing with an iPhone.
I always noticed that like in between jobs you were like shooting little things and posting them, and I was seeing some of you were not treating those as like kind of serious photography, and yet this book of You Are Not Connected to the Internet just feels really exciting because you're taking that strange gizmo seriously as something to generate art with. Now, but then you just said something about how it's related to surveillance capitalism. And Can you tell me more about your thought process on that?
Yeah, and also I would say that the thing that I'm having a lot of fun with the phone right now is that I feel like I'm pushing it into a direction that it's not meant to be used for. Like I'm using the screen snapshot and the artifacts that come through the screen as part of the medium, right? So
Right.
I'm not using the lenses. I mean, the lenses are obviously in play, but the screen is also the lens, and the camera is one of the characters, and it just feels like it's in this way I can explore the world right in front of us that we're all dealing with,
Right.
that we're consumed by and caught in, and that is getting in between all of us as well. So the surveillance capitalism, I think that's one of the things that, I remember a long time ago seeing Tom Cruise in this movie. I can't even remember the name of the movie, where they were he's walking through a hallway, and it was so prescient, right? Where,
Minority Report.
It was Minority Report.
Yes,
it was where ads were talking to him specifically with his name, and he was having a different experience than anybody else was having. It was
right.
I
That's
think it was
also
in the beginning.
The Philip K. Dick movie, the Total Recall. I think they did the same, but that was with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but anyway, I think you start to see in the movies what happens in the real world a little sooner, maybe, and this idea that you're carrying your phone around, and it's there are so many brilliant minds behind the apps in the phone that really want your data so they can market to you goods, services, ideas, perspectives. Look at where we are right now socially, politically. This, I think, comes from, in large part, what's happening with our devices. It's interesting that the word is device, right? Because little divisive, perhaps.
Yeah. A device, the way it's used in literature, is something that forwards the plot. Mm-hmm. And the plot is, I guess, nefarious in this case.
Perhaps. I mean, maybe. It's from one perspective. For me, I feel like I want to protect my information. So when I was going back to this, like, show yourself on social media, it's like, oh my God, when I got on social media, I just thought I wanted followers. So anyone who wanted to follow me, I allowed, not understanding that some of them are bots or people I don't even know how to go through the account. It's set up so that you can't really elegantly go through any followers and like decide who you want to keep or leave. So it's sort of useful, but not that useful.
Right.
But it's interesting, again, like if I feel like I can play with it, then I don't mind the problems with it, because what I'm doing is playing with the problems.
One of the things that I'm struck by, and Lionel, I'm sorry if I'm just filibustering here, but what I've noticed on TikTok is that there's this trend of shooting yourself in a mirror with your phone. Instead of talking directly into your phone, you're talking into the mirror and you're recording the mirror with your phone. It's so wild. It's like this idea of just, echoing. It's like an echo chamber, right? Right. But what you're doing you are not connected to the internet. Like so many of those things, it's like a much more sophisticated version of that. Well, I'm playing with it a little bit, yeah. Like this idea of the quote-unquote selfie, because I am the person who's in all the pictures. Right. Largely, it's convenient. And second of all, it's like, how do I choose who's going to be in all the pictures? And it's a comment on the internet, so it might as well be me. And anyway, I can take them at any point then, no matter where I am. It's so convenient. Are you, so is it okay if we give out your Instagram so people can look at these? So is it Instagram.com/ or at Liz Linder? Yeah, I have two channels. One is this project, which is my personal work. It's at Liz Linder Photography. And then my commercial is at Liz Linder Studio. Okay. So those two at Liz. But I should know that because I set that up on your website. Yeah. One makes the money and one doesn't. Well, look at them both. Yeah. I would say. I think that, yeah. And thanks for looking. Yeah. So Lionel's really quiet. Yeah, Lionel. So is it worth talking about the fact that we all went to the same school? That's true. It's a club. That's a thinky school. Liz was at Haverford. You were at Haverford.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
And Siri was not at Haverford.
I thought I told her to be quiet.
That was weird. Talking about surveillance capitalism.
Exactly.
I didn't get that.
I didn't go to that school.
Oh. I like that we had that little interlude.
Tell me
that
more.
Was my phone talking. Yeah, but anyway, Lionel, how was your day?
My day is just dandy. Thank you. No, I like the photographs a lot. And it's you said there's a lot of references and a lot of quotes, and it triggered a lot of things in my head, like a lot of different photographers, and other images, like the images of yourself with sort of the distorted perspective, almost looks like, I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering, but like Aboriginal drawings from Australia.
The hand and the hand impression. You've got the hands everywhere.
Yeah, they're a little bit like modern cave paintings, actually. I've always been interested in communication, visual communication, and when you peel it back, how you can connect the most people together, and this idea of like, there's a little bit of this idea of like becoming a sign.
Becoming a what?
Like, a sign, like a sign of a person. When you see these like signs of people crossing streets, or
right,
like hand. Yes, and there's this the petroglyphs even play into it a little
hands.
Bit. Yeah,
that are from like 30,000 years ago, and everybody was doing it. Like it was the first worldwide art movement before Art Deco and before Impressionism.
Yeah,
I think a little bit.
Biggest hit of 30,000 years ago. Hands.
Well, I think a little bit it's like I am here,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Which everybody's trying to do right now on their little channel.
Yeah, I was just watching that recently. There's a guy was talking about he was visiting the caves, and it went on in this one cave, it went on for thousands of years. People just came by, and it was just like something you did. You put your hand. But anyway, I saw that in there. Somehow Eugene Atgay came to mind, the decisive moment.
Yep.
Although there doesn't seem to be much of a decisive, but it still feels that way.
See some of the leaps, but you will. I'll share those.
Well, like the one with the dog, you leaning towards the dog and the dog leaning towards you. There's a specific moment in time being captured there. It's not static at all.
It's a feeling, yeah.
And I already said Man Ray. The famous one where the woman is weeping diamonds.
Yeah, glass tears.
Yeah, maybe the Andalusian dog, that unfortunate first scene of the Andalusian dog. But yeah, lots of great stuff in there.
Thank you. You're actually. I'm glad you're hitting all my references.
Yeah, and and again, it's sort of like this whole exercise has been sort of yet another generation of reproduction, because Jim's holding a book to a camera backwards and I'm looking at it through my screen too. But the amazing thing is that through all those levels of reproduction, it seems like it's very strong what's coming through.
Thank you. And the great thing about this visually too is that I can tell I'm obscured, right? Like if you look at the screen, you can't see my head. Yeah. Is that correct?
Well, there's only a few photos where we even see anything except a reflection of you. And
they're usually, they're very, very, the reflections are faint. So you don't get the whole face. Basically, there's screen snapshots in some of these where it's like the facial recognition software clicks on, and I've captured that. It's like I'm trying to capture some of the surveillance, the artifacts of surveillance.
Like can't identify.
And it's like, you think you're getting me, well, I'm getting you. Like, of course, it's like throwing rocks into the wind, right? But maybe it throws it mucks the system just a little bit. Maybe.
I think it's something we have to think about. I mean, we're now on the brink of anything that you put out there on social media, some
can and might be used against you.
Yeah, or it could be remixed as a fake.
Yep.
Your voice, your image can be made to say things you wouldn't ordinarily say. We're going to have to rethink how we get along online, because none of it's going to be reliable.
And communication. And somebody was telling me actually this idea about, in the future when there's a charge to use the internet, because when you pay to play, you can know that it's quote unquote safe, which is fascinating. It's just, the whole thing is interesting.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
So the idea that if you had to, like with it, like Lionel, your idea of paying a penny per email, if you had to actually pay to post to social media, maybe you wouldn't get the same. You get a verified.
It would collapse overnight.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it would collapse overnight. That's why nobody does it.
Yeah.
Because
nobody would pay it.
Nobody would pay it.
The entire internet would shrink by like 87%
hold on.
overnight.
when you do not have any more a way to communicate with people because the phone infrastructure has been pulled out, you might actually be paying something.
I'm not sure I get the connection there. Can you
Why
make
is
that
the
again?
phone infrastructure?
Well, the landline. So maybe okay. Right, the phone infrastructure. I'm thinking about like all the communication and how how people are reached on so many different channels, and there are all these ways to call people, like WhatsApp, and
Right.
I think that yeah, maybe people are only doing it because it's free, but anyway.
Well, I think that the question of like, how can you verify this is an actual human? Putting out, this is actually the opinion of so and so, will become tricky.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the point I was making, so what Jim's talking about was this hobby horse I was riding for a couple of years there, which actually, what was it called? Bonded email. It actually has a name as an industry segment, and a bunch of people tilted at this, which is you charge a nominal fee to send an email, and in fact, the recipient can choose to refund your penny. So it doesn't cost anything if you're on the recipient's white list. So the first time I send an email to Liz Linder, I may have to pay a penny because Liz has never heard of me before. But Liz goes, "Oh, it's Lionel." And she's in a good mood. She refunds me the penny, and I get added to Liz's whitelist. It was meant to just get rid of spam,
Yeah, I love it,
and all that kind of stuff. The
great.
problem is that if you actually do that, like junk email evaporates overnight because it's completely predicated upon zero cost.
Right.
That it costs nothing other than the bandwidth, which is pennies per million.
Right.
And the problem with that is that once all that business evaporates, all that stuff evaporates off the internet, some people are going to go out of business. And, the charging money to post things, because a lot of money is made on hiring people to do millions of posts for you. You just, the bot accounts, and you just go and you say, I need 10,000 people to upvote my post. I need 10,000 followers today. And so they pay money for that because it doesn't really cost anything to create these accounts. But if they actually cost money, like a penny or 2 pennies, then the whole thing collapses. Then it'd be hilarious to see. But anyway, that's that whole thing. But yeah, charging money for Jim and I have talked about this before. The key thing is that I think we are headed towards sort of a Gettysburg on the internet faster than we thought. Because even I, troglodyte that I am, it's just like you can't trust anything at all. I mean, you shouldn't have trusted anything to begin with, but now it really is. You can start seeing it. You can start seeing how AI is just simply chewing up existing material and regurgitating it a million times.
Yeah, and it's exhausting. It's like everyone's got something to say, but it's really robots talking. There's some. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and we're using the robots to summarize what's coming in.
What other people are saying. Yeah.
So really, it's robots talking to robots.
It's robots talking to robots.
Drives me nuts.
There's some crazy statistic around how many photographs are taken by robots for robots these days, or how many images are generated. Probably that's going to be the new statistic, but it's whatever it is, it's mind blowing, and I wish I had the number at the tip of my tongue, but I don't.
Yeah,
you have a second book here,
I do.
and it's called Mirrors and Windows.
Yes.
Can I take a look at that?
Yeah,
so it has some of the same.
Yeah, so it's actually that's a new one. It's just it's this every time this one has a pen.
It's great.
Every time I'm in an airplane, I take a new picture of the window. So I'm going to do one of these every 6 months for the next until I have 5, basically. I want to have I want to have a box of these that is like you struggle with it down or up the stairs.
These are 7-pound books. I mean, they're like really huge, and the pages are literally 1/16 of an inch wide. So it's like everything's on cardstock.
Yep,
it's a wonderful feeling. And it is worth a few $100s as like a really impressive coffee table book. And can they be printed on demand?
They could be. I have to figure out. They could be. I have to figure this out. I might maybe like sell a print, and you get a book with a print or something like that.
It's really.
What is that device in the middle of those pictures?
That is a sensor that is picking up the movement. So I have a friend. James Grady, who he's a designer that I've worked with for years and years, and just brilliant guy. And he's done my logo, and we've collaborated for a long time. He teaches at BU, and he's developed this program called the Random Actor Project. So that sensor will read your body, and then it will project through a projector. It will map out your form in all sorts of different ways. That happens to be the outline, which was my favorite in the moment.
It's like a white chalk outline, but it's light, right, against a wall.
And it could be solid. I think if you turn the page, you can see a solid one. So I went there to, it captures motion. You could see, it's really fun.
Wow.
Yeah. So it, there's a lot of these sensors out there that you can use, but this one is specific to his design mind.
Wow. Oh, this is crazy. All right, so now your face is actually here, but it's your face. Of course, it's your face because you were running for office.
I did. I ran for office.
And there's your campaign poster behind you.
Yeah. So the ironically, as someone who likes to hide I don't like to hide behind the camera, but I've spent my life behind the camera, showing other people, and then in public, I don't want to share my face. But there's a cost for everything, and I did decide to run for office in the town of Brookline, which was a great experience. And, of course, they need my face.
Yeah.
I did need to have a portrait. So I decided the only time I would show my face is when I was in sort of campaign persona mode, because that in and of itself is
like a mask.
It's a different, it's a persona. I mean, I don't know if I'd say it was a mask. It was interesting. I when I look at it, I think, oh my God, I look like I belong there, which was also an interesting experience.
I look like a politician.
I know.
You do, though, because you have a different smile. I think you have a different smile than you ordinarily have in this kind of waving photo. Yeah, that's interesting.
The candidate. The contender.
What is with? So there's a whole page of paper stars that you're holding over kind of the wet ground with the shadow of yourself.
That was a little bit for that was a New Year's. I think I shared that on New Year's. I wanted to do something. I think it was New Year's. It was something, whatever. There was an occasion where I felt like a star was warranted, and but then I started taking screen snapshots, and the more I took, the more stars appeared, and then I thought of the stars and the stripes a little bit, and just that's a continuity.
I love that it's like kind of uneven.
Yeah,
the stars like a little cockeyed.
Yeah, but it's a little bit like the flag, right?
Yeah, no, it comes to this page comes off as like a stars and stars forever. Yes, and then the campaign.
The
Liz Linder for Select Board. Leadership that listens.
We got all the L's in there that we could wish for. Yeah.
Leadership listens.
I always thought the good campaign slogan would be "I'm working on it," because I feel like I say that every day, but that sounded really weak.
I'm working on it.
I'm working on it.
As we speak.
Call back tomorrow. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
These are great too. I'm not going to hold. You know what? It's actually really hard to hold these up because it's such a heavy book.
Good.
Man, look at this. This is great though. So so people should definitely go and take a look at these. I love this.
That's a Zoom. Sometimes you're on too many Zoom meetings and you want to take a picture of the robot talking.
So you're actually this is a picture of Zoom. Turn up volume.
When you talk and you're muted, and then it's like, oh, do you want to turn your volume on? Maybe I want to do a small photo session while everybody else is talking. Maybe that's what I want to do.
Right. It's these little
I'm going to be productive.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, not hearing anything?
Leave.
Turn up your volume. Yeah.
Leave, share, whatever. Stop talking to me.
Oh, that's so true.
Not hearing anything? Good.
These are both just amazing.
Thank you.
Really cool.
They're really fun to put together. So, and since they're not on Instagram yet, they will be by the time you hear this.
Oh, okay. I don't want.
It's funny. It's like if a tree falls, if no one sees it on Instagram, did I make a book?
Well,
originally I thought I would make a book and sell it on Instagram, but
maybe don't put it on Instagram. Maybe you have to.
No, I'm gonna. I'll do a flip through.
Okay.
I'll do a flip through.
I love the work. I think
Thank you.
I think it's great.
Thanks.
I think it's great. I did we just sort of all like land the? Did we just end?
Did we land the plane? Are we done with the podcast?
That just was like a natural ending right there. I'm fighting it. I don't want it to be over. Lionel, do you have any other questions for Liz?
No, the only thing is, I was, I don't know if you follow, this is to Jim. I've talked before about the guy Coulthard who has a website called Feuilleton.
No, I think I need to follow this.
You're
going to share this with the listeners, including me, right?
We've linked
it before because I go on and on and on. This is one of my hobby horses that everybody's sick and tired of. But he recently posted something, and maybe Jim can dig it up on Feuilleton. He recently posted a print by an artist called Edward Wadsworth, who during World War I was a British artist who worked with the Navy to paint dazzle ships. And dazzle ships is the name of a certain type of camouflage that they were painting battleships with, and became very famous because it's almost like you basically turn your 1917 battleship into like an abstract impressionist painting. But what he also did too, what Edward Wadsworth also did, is he did wood prints of people working on these ships.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did you find one?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we found it. Wadsworth,
the blue one.
The blue one, yeah.
It's beautiful.
I think that's extraordinary. I think that's amazing.
Yep, the propeller is really, really gorgeous in the center of it.
Yeah, but just the whole thing, and sort of I felt that with your photographs. There's something that has to just be immediately graspable, and immediately you just you don't need a doctorate in art history. It should be deep enough that somebody can take those deep dives into Eugene Atgay or whatever nonsense. But it has to have that initial hit.
It shouldn't be required, right? Yeah, it shouldn't be required.
Yeah, I like that. I like
it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. No. I like things that are just have very strong graphics that are easy to read and they don't talk down to you, that just kind of hopefully make you think a little bit.
Yeah, but it's still kind of mysterious. Like when you look at that picture, like, okay, it's a boat because I recognize propeller.
Right.
Yep.
But it's this bizarre. By the way, that's not how Edward Wadsworth did the painting. That's actually a poster for a show that was done in Germany about 4 years later, an exhibition of English graphic artists. The way Wadsworth originally did it was black and white. So everywhere it's blue, it was just a black and white. It's still beautiful.
It's really
beautiful. He
beautiful.
did a bunch of black and white woodcuts. I really recommend looking at all of them because it's really fascinating. And it's great when somebody pushes something. Two things about it is when somebody pushes something so abstract, they've boiled away so much, but you still know what it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a mystery. It's like, okay, what are those guys doing down there? What's happening here?
Well, what's great about Coulthard's site is it's a great place for inspiration.
Would you send that to me? I'll show you. I'll show you one thing. Whoops, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'll show you one thing if I can find it. Maybe I didn't put it in here, but I don't think I put it in here. I started photographing and my next book.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Can I put that up? That's a good one. Sure. Yeah, that's a good one.
Wow.
So
this is really hard to figure out what the hell.
So some of what happens here is that I'm on assignments often with large corporate entities that I sign these privacy clauses with, so I don't, particularly want to share the work. This is also why I'm the only one on this channel of mine. It's just easy. I don't have to ask permission to share the work, but I always have permission to take a picture out the window, and that's what that is. And that's me and my camera, and I turn around and there's a whole other world happening, and I'm making a living.
See, so many of these look like they've been manipulated after the fact, and they really haven't, right? Except for contrast.
Very, very little, little.
Contrast.
And maybe I'll take the color out, right?
Right.
And I'll share with you another.
But you're not overlaying images. The overlay is happening in the real world, and you're noticing it.
Yes.
And you're capturing it.
Yes, and it's happening, and then sometimes I'm taking. What I'll do is I'll put pictures on the screen, and I'll take snapshots. I'll use my phone to take a picture of the picture that I took on my as a screen snapshot, I'll put that on my computer. Then I'll use my phone camera to take a picture. And then I'm starting to get these really cool moire patterns. So I'll see
I have one question while you're looking for that.
Yeah.
How is it that you're, what is it called? The f-stop, the focal point. You're managing to grab both the far focal and the near focal. Is that just a feature of the iPhone camera?
I guess I'd have to look and see what we're talking about specifically.
Meaning
but
the distance doesn't seem to go out of focus the way it ordinarily would.
I think it depends on sometimes that does, and oftentimes it's a function of the lens or the screen or something. So like this is the kind of thing I'm doing now. I'm playing with the texture of the screen and artifacts in the screen and like the moire pattern. I'm just kind of starting to play with it.
Right, sort of like what is it, Andy Lichtenstein?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. It's like that, and then I'm trying to figure out what the artifacts are that I want to keep in the picture, and where do I want to put them, and what do they mean. So I'm, figuring it out myself. It's like I'm on this ride, and it's fun. I
don't know why I keep thinking of Andy Goldsworthy with regards to your work.
Oh, I love his work.
Because Andy Goldsworthy is really, he's photographing, I think.
He's photographing. He builds like natural sets, right?
And
then that are ephemeral, and then he photographs them. And sometimes they stand the test of time and they change over time, like these walls.
Yeah, the leaf walls or the walls themselves, the ice sculptures that only last like 30 minutes.
Yep.
That he goes out and does at like 5 o'clock in the morning with frozen fingers.
Yep.
Like melting icicles into vines of shapes and then photographing them before they all melt. There's something about, the way you're capturing a reflection as soon as and the light's going to change.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's so instant. It's so momentary. And yet it doesn't involve freezing your hands off and getting frostbite,
No,
standing
usually
out there in the cold.
It usually involves walking the dog.
Walking the dog.
It's like it's the day-to-day. It's the most... I started doing this and photographing the screen because I felt like at some point I was stuck behind my desk for too many hours. And, I'm going to capture the thing that's right in front of me and try to make it visually interesting and provocative and mysterious and, the things that one might want to do to relieve themselves of sitting in front of a screen all day.
Yeah. Well, and I know like in terms of professional work, a lot of that involves refining the final shots, and going back and forth with the client. So these are the non-artistic aspects of the work.
Oh, they're all decisions, though. And also, then you finally arrive at a picture that you think is like everybody's agreed on, and then it ends up on a lot of different screens and looks completely different, and you've lost control of it immediately as soon as you put it out in the world. And that's a little bit part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Like your voice, right? You put a song out in the world, and it gets shared, and it deteriorates, and it gets distressed, and it's on a speaker in someone's, home. It's on a speaker in their car. It's on a better speaker. It's on a worse speaker.
And this is what I have to say, which is the thing that I say all the time is I quote Brian Eno as saying, when you release an album, you really do have to release it. And then it sits there next to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and people pick it up and say, oh, what a piece of crap. And it really does hurt when they say that. I will always quote him, say this is a perfect quote for a musician. But yes, it's true. You release it. Like I'm doing these songs a week that I played you one of, got no response from Lionel, but you just have to make it and then let it go, and you don't get to perfect it in this case. In terms of the once a week, it is what it is.
Yeah. And also I work with a writing mentor, and she's always says, and her name is Leslie Berliant, just a plug to her, but she always says, once you write something, you can't even critique it yourself. You're not in charge of it. Once you share it, it becomes someone else's. And they experience it the way they experience it.
Yeah.
Drop the mic. No.
Yeah, well, it's in a sense, that's not a tragedy, right? Because what's the alternative? The alternative is that you keep it perfect and in your own view, and it sort of kind of dies in that static perfection.
Or whatever, maybe you have a great idea, but your idea is limited by your own experience, and someone else, like, do you want to force that exact experience on someone else, or let them filter it through their experience.
But the
And
thing about the pictures that you showed me is I think they're really resistant to that. There's
right.
something very elementary about them. They're witty. They're fun to a certain degree. They just and also they have that marvelous magical quality of punk music, which is somebody looks and they say, "I could have done that." Like I've looked at those cracks in the pavement that they covered with the tar. I could have done that. Oh, that's great. That's really clever. And so I think they're kind of cool because somebody sees it and they're very to the point. They're witty and immediately accessible. So they're kind of cool. It reminds me, I don't know, it reminds me of a bunch of other stuff. The paintings of Paul Klee,
Yeah, I love him.
Joan Miro, just very straightforward stuff that just speaks to you really, really clearly. But it's not trivial.
But you're also talking about surrealism. Like you mentioned a lot of, reference people who dabble in surrealist work. So the straightforward and surrealism are, well, different.
Well, surrealism was obsessed by dreams, but a lot of things that go under the surrealist name are very, very definite and concrete. Like man raised photographs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woman with tears made of diamonds. It's like can't get much simpler than that. I mean, it's really straightforward, but it's wonderful. It's a certain economy,
right? A certain kind of juxtaposition.
Yeah, well, it's also how do I do this with the least moving parts?
Yes.
How do I boil this thing down? That's why I sort of mentioned the Wadsworth thing. How far can I boil this down and still get the point across and still send a message to the receiver? That's why I love those woodcuts, because it's just like it's only like 12 lines on a piece of paper, but you immediately go, oh, okay, I know exactly what's going on. And it's so imaginative, and there's such a hand behind it. You can tell there's a human being behind this who made this, not just somebody who, it's not just a machine. It's a person who thought about where to put each of those lines. And so when I see those photographs, I that's why I see a lot of similarities. By economy, I mean, using, don't go overboard. Don't layer things on top of it.
I know what you mean, like not overcomplicating things and trying to reduce to like the most basic elements.
Yeah.
The simple elements.
It's cool.
Cool. So I'm curious about like, what is your day like before you, what's a typical Wednesday like for you? Like, what do you do before you get on a podcast? Yeah.
I work.
What does that mean?
It means I sit at my desk and I do computer programming for a university. It's fine. It's a job. I do good things for people. I do, and I help people out. But my work is fairly unremarkable. But it's a nice place I have here.
Things that hold society together are usually like a lot of unremarkable things that keep the wheels, on the bus.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. But I wish I was back at work. I wish I was physically present in the workplace. If I've learned anything from the whole COVID experience, is that I'm not a big fan of 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but I'm certainly not I'm a far less avid fan of not going to work at all. And I think something a new balance. Personally, I think the whole thing is moot, because I think AI is going to wipe out everything. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But if the things were to continue, it'd be nice to have something like 4 days a week.
Yeah, I think a 4-day work week is ideal, right?
Yeah, and maybe where you can swap out days, like, okay, the plumber needs to come by on Wednesday. I'm going to take Wednesday and work on Saturday and stuff like that. Maybe that's too much to ask from the world, but
I don't know. I mean, there some people who work longer days can do it probably, but there's a version of, wouldn't it be nice? Sometimes it's nice to keep all the days in order, right? You have 4 days in a row and then 3 days in a row off. Yep. But I could also see punctuating. I like that.
Having the option.
Yep.
Maybe the default is 4 days in a row, 3 days off, but the key thing is, I think what I sort of learned from this whole thing is that something that we've talked about in the podcast before is that the job, this thing that dominates our lives, in fact, I was just talking to my brother about this last night. I'm sure he yawned quite a bit too, because I've said this so many times, but the job, two very interesting things about the job. One, it's only about 200 years old. And two, it is such the dominant structuring principle of our lives, of many people's lives. The job is discipline. It's what gets people out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's what gets me to shave. The job is that thing. Job is, for many people, the most socialization they'll get outside of their immediate household. The job is socialization. The job is so many things. A job is a sense of pride. It's a sense of belonging. It's your income. It's your survival. I mean, a lot of things are bundled in the job. And so the interesting thing is, what happens if that goes away?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, when it gets harder and harder to find work and you're laying off it's like even thinking of like government efficiency, right? Government inefficiency has been keeping people in the job, which isn't necessarily like when you look at unintended side effects and consequences of that, it's going to get interesting. And I don't know interesting in what direction, but it's definitely, when you have a lot of people out of work, whether or not they have some level of income coming in, there's a loss of meaning, a loss of, doing something productive.
Exactly. Because everybody talks about the money and everybody's like, oh, we'll just give everybody universal basic income. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea because we don't want people starving to death, but that's just the beginning of your problems.
Yeah.
Oh, and I mean, one thing I think is really frustrating is when people talk about efficiency, they talk about it like it's an absolute measurement. You always have to consider efficient for whom, right? I mean, things can be very inefficient for one person, but very efficient for many people. So just like in the case of like a government agency that you feel isn't generating the right kind of product for, say, a billionaire, might be generating a lot of really useful stuff and jobs for many people who are not billionaires. So there is no absolute measure of efficiency.
Yeah, it's hard to quantify.
So that drives me bananas. And I also think universal basic income is a non-starter because what you'll have is, say you get $5,000 a week or even a month or something. You get $5,000 a month, and then you go to the store to buy anything. What's the cost of this? Oh, it's $5,000, right? Right? Because you got it. I know you got it because they sent it to you, so I'll take it now.
Right. But my point is that even if you...
What about what happens when the stores are sort of, moderated in that? So
it's like George Orwell. Then it's like, then it's price fixing and things just get worse and worse.
Yeah.
You go down that road, but yeah.
So anyway, that's what I do. I work from home and I work on software and that's my exciting day. But I do keep my hand in this guy, Cold Heart, the Feuilleton website. I look a lot at what he's sort of my main prism through which I look at art. He's interesting because I was talking to my friend, I was talking to my brother and my friend Bob Loy about how he's interested in a lot of the same things that I am, but he's coming at it from a completely different angle because he is an acclaimed illustrator. He's the guy who did a very, very famous graphic novel called Reverb Storm. And he works with the guy who did The Watchmen. And he's worked with a lot of heavy hitters.
Alan Moore.
Yeah. He recently, I think, basically co-produced a book with Alan Moore called The Bumper Crop of Magic, the children's book of magic or something like that. And so he's got chops. He's not just somebody like me, just bloviating about something that I read on a webpage somewhere. This guy's actually been there, done that. So it's been fascinating. So that's sort of what keeps me interested. I find music doesn't do much for me nowadays. I've always been much more interested in visual arts.
Yeah. It just went nowhere.
I couldn't hear it.
You couldn't hear it? I'll send it to you.
I sent a message in the chat. The volume was way too low. I couldn't hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll send it to you. Yeah, I may have to re-encode it. we overshot the runway. We're circled around, and now we actually do need to land the plane for two reasons. One, I have to get to something at 7:00, but then the other thing is that I need to turn the AC back on because it's now like 85 degrees in here. But I want to thank you, Liz, for coming by, and can we maybe we could have you back?
Yeah, I would come back when I have something more to say.
Well, and also we could prepare better because this is
Yeah.
sort of last minute, and Lionel maybe didn't get a chance to preview since a lot of what you're doing, well, it's all visual.
What I do, a lot of it's visual. Mostly it's visual.
Well,
Photography, it's pretty visual. Yes, but no, I like playing with words too, but most of what I do is visual, and it would be, I like this idea of sharing something visually through language, right? Through a conversation. And I think there's a way to do it. And I think we just kind of scratched at the beginning of that and figured out where it's not working probably for the first 10 or 15 minutes. But I'd love to do this again.
I think it'd be great if we had just give me 1 second, Jim. I think it'd be really great if we had a slideshow, instead of our faces on the screen.
Oh, and then we could react to the slideshow.
And then we talk behind it. And
then you can cut back to your faces and I like being behind a mic like this. It's like hiding behind a camera.
I'll shave next time.
Okay.
Right.
Well, all right then. Next time we'll make it more of a production. But
but this was really, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Well, you're
Thanks for
great.
coming by.
I love showcasing your work, and you can go to lizlinder.com to see
The awe of
the awe of that, which didn't go. But a lot of great work there, especially in projects a little closer to this, and then this work, I guess, is on Instagram, and some of it will be more of it will be on Instagram. And can you actually order these books? Let's say you have infinite money.
I'll figure out a way to put this on Instagram. And what I may do is do a special edition print where you get a book and a print, and then it makes more, economic sense.
Well, they're super. I think. Super.
No, there's some things in here that I think are worth making editions out of. But one thing I wanted to say is how I got here was a good friend of mine who you met before. His name is Rich Griswold, and we have played this game with our smartphones since pretty much the beginning of smartphones, and it's called We Talk in Pictures.
We Talk in Pictures, right?
And it started out with a reflection and a wave, hello, here I am.
So it's evolved.
So this has evolved from our dialogue, and then I've always wanted to make a book, and he was like, book? Why book? We have this,
Right.
What about on the screen? And I like the tension between the digital world and the analog world. So anyway, I made a book.
So you can find that if you go to lizlinder.com. There's a link in projects. I think it's called projects. To We Talk in Pictures, which is a separate website, which has kind of the archive of your conversation.
Yeah, it does. We stopped putting up new ones, I think, after a few. It's current to a few years ago, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I want to say you get the picture, but that's too funny.
Let's just forget that you said that.
And,
we're going
the
to
end credits.
Thank you.
I
Thank
know.
you, Liz. Right.
Thanks.
Funny Not Funny is produced by Jim Infantino at Slab Media in Boston. Lionel Casson is the co-host. Our website is funnynotfunny.bigego.com. The background music you're listening to is the song Hum from Utopia Revisited by Jim Infantino. The opinions presented by the co-hosts are ridiculous and should not be taken seriously by anyone. Our intended audience is literally nobody. If you're listening to this podcast, you should stop immediately and seek help. Please do not subscribe or leave a rating or review. It only encourages us to make more. Thanks for listening.